Hello, word nerds, and welcome to our fourth and final write-in of NaNoWriMo. Sorry to see them go, but we have more words to write today, so that's pretty exciting.
Yes.
Do you want to kick things off with just how everyone's doing so far? Seems to be how we roll on these things, so I might as well. It's the last one. Live break with tradition now.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
All right, Desiree, how's it going for you?
Oh, I'm so far behind. Like, I feel like in every video I make about Nano, I just talk about how behind I am. I think I'll finish, like, probably at the end of January. But, you know, words are written. So I guess that's good.
That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Emma, how about you?
I'm all right. I'm at 38,300, so I'm still pretty behind. I meant to write a lot this weekend, and I didn't. So I may have played The Legend of Zelda instead today instead of writing. So that's my fault. But so I still can finish on time if I try this week. So we'll
try. You can do it. I want you to
I want you to win so bad.
It's just gonna be harder because the rest of Nano are days that I have to work, so I'm gonna have to really try and pack the words in. We'll see how it goes.
You can do
Good news is I don't have to work Friday, which means Thursday I can stay up till midnight writing. So
planning ahead.
Yeah.
Megan,
I am 1,369. So yesterday was the first day I got behind in a really long time, but I only was 300 words behind today, and then just minimum champion it all the way to the end. I feel pretty confident that I can hit 50K now.
You've got this. And we're not going to talk about me. Let's see how the comments are going.
People are doing pretty well in the discussions. A lot of Legend of Zelda fans out there. Yeah. Kick off with a warm-up at the 35, I think. Just move right in. Feel free to ask any writing or reading related questions, and we will get to them. We have a prompt for the warm-up, which I will be putting in the discussion section as well once the sprint has started. Is what's the big thing that has to happen for your book's climax to occur? Where do all the players need to be? And if you want to start writing the book immediately, put one of your characters into place for the big finale.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, it is. That's the best part.
It's the best part, but it's the worst part.
Yeah.
No
I like
pressure.
I like putting them all into place, but them interact the way they need to once they're all there.
I always find it
Can we all just talk it out?
Things conversations go in the wrong direction or something. I'm like, no, that's not what we're supposed to be talking about.
Come back. Oh. Yeah, we've got lots of great word counts in the discussion section. Oh, it is time. We're doing a 5-minute warm-up. I am putting the prompt in the discussion section right now, and we will check back in at the 40. Good luck. Time. How did it go for you guys?
I got 24 words.
I got 70.
Nice. I'm writing by hand, so I'm not sure, but I wrote words.
I opened the doc.
Well done. That's usually what I do at the warm-up.
Yeah. Well, I'm about to be at a part that I have already written quite a while ago, but it's like a different setting, so I want to have it open so I can see it while I'm typing it up in this new scenario, and it took me a while to find it. I probably should have labeled it better.
Yeah, I'm like at this point where I'm like trying to figure out how to get my character to like transition from one thing to another, like thinking about one thing to another, and I'm like, what are the connections that lead her to this other thing so she can go do this next thing she needs to do? So I'm like trying to figure out how to move that along.
Yeah, I'm so bad about that. I'll just make them switch subjects completely. We had some really good questions. Thank you for asking them in the discussion section. I had a question from Davis Hicks. What advice do you have for people who are trying to plunge ahead this last week and make up a large word debt? I'm at 27K, but I was at 12 less than that a week ago.
Don't give up. Big things are possible. There are crazy people who do nano in a weekend. So you can do some really big things over the last few days. You never know. Keep trying. It's still going to be more words than you'd have otherwise. So.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of taking massive chunks of the day and just like banging out a huge word count. That works well for me and I'm able to do it. So I would recommend if you have a full day that you can devote, definitely trying to do that. Just have like a full writing day, see how much you can get. If you have like a 9 to 5, then I would recommend setting a whole evening aside for you to do that. Just seeing, okay, from 6 to 11, how much can I get out if I just don't stop writing?
Yeah, definitely like figure out where you can save time in your day for the next week. Like if you can like have food ready to go so you don't need to like cook dinner, like if that takes up time, like I know that sometimes takes up a lot of time for me, like cooking a meal. So if you can just have stuff like food ready to go, you can just like heat up and eat. That'll save you some time that you could be writing instead. Find all those little places during your lunch breaks. You can write.
That's what I do a lot.
Yeah, get up early if you can and write.
We had another question from Tucker Fez. I've been pantsing this novel and I'm not sure how to figure out the ending. Do you have any advice? This is so hard.
Yeah, this is why I don't pants, because of endings. Like, I have to know where I'm headed.
Maybe do a quick read back over like your first chapter and where your character started and kind of see if there's any hints there that you may have not laid for yourself, but that you can kind of take and turn into like a more deliberate looking character arc.
You'll also want to take a look at all of the threads you have loose right now. Where are all your major players? What is basically the worst thing that can happen to them? And then make all of those worst things happen in the same room. Just have it all explode all at once. It'll probably be a mess, but that is future use problem.
Also, I have this note card here with some advice that Kelly gave us a few weeks ago. I'm a reference now, which is that your character should have 2 desires or goals, and you should make them give up one to get the other. So like look at like what things your character wants and make them make some hard decisions.
Yes, I wrote that down too.
Yeah. It's right here where I can see it on my desk. Kelly is so wise. She's
so
like,
wise.
I feel pretty cool right now.
We had another question from Yuri. It's been agonizing to get myself to keep writing lately. I'm really worried I won't write anything after November 30th, but I want to. What do you do to keep going in non-nano months?
December is always a slow writing month for me because of Nano. Like, I do kind of burn myself out when I try to write a lot during Nano. And I can already feel it now. Like, that's part of why this weekend I didn't get a lot of writing done, is because I think it was like Friday night, I like couldn't stand to like look at the computer screen. I was like, I can't even look at this anymore. So like it's okay if you don't write a lot in December. Like if you maybe take a little bit of time off to recharge, that is totally okay. It doesn't mean that you're like never going to write again. Like it's okay to have times where you don't write as much. If that's what you need.
If you do want to keep writing, let yourself go in small bits, like if just 100 words every day so you feel like you're still doing something, or just 100 words on any day where you feel like you want to do something to feel like you've done it. Like you don't need to hit the same epic word counts. Just if you want to kind of get that habit going, start small and let that rebuild once you're ready.
There are lots of different like goal trackers now. Nano has introduced the goal trackers on their own page, and I had been looking for something that would give me more of a chart recently, and I found this app called WordKeeper. My white balance is going to be all off, so that's not going to show anything. But it's called WordKeeper, and it is a $6 app, and it gives you like all of these charts and ways to set goals and to time your writing sessions. And it has a lot of really high reviews. I'm going to do a WordNerds video about it sometime in December, probably. So I definitely recommend checking stuff like that out. Or I'm certain there are other websites that will help you keep track of things for free as well.
I was about to look up that app because it looked really cool, and then you said $6, and I immediately put my phone down. I was like, "That's cool," and I was like,
yeah, it's like a full software. Like there's no in-app purchases, no like anything. Like you get all of it once you buy it.
Maybe when I'm less poor, I will make the investment.
No, I don't buy right
now. I don't usually, but I really, really have struggled writing all year long, and I don't want to lose this momentum. I'm losing this momentum.
Yeah.
We had another question. Jasmine F. I am working on my first book and am currently on my first edit. Any tips?
So they're currently working on their first
book, first edit ever. Sorry.
It's okay. I thought I understood what you said, but I know we've talked about this a lot lately. Mostly Erin's talked about it because she's doing edits, but Susan Denard has like a really detailed, organized method for edits, especially if you're like kind of getting started and don't really know like where to start or what to do. Her method can help a lot.
Yeah, I definitely love hers. I'll find a link to it actually right now, and I'll put it in the description.
And the great thing is like once you kind of start trying it out, you can figure out like what parts of it work for you and what you want to do differently. Like I know one of her earliest stage where she has like she reads through and then she has like these separate pages she fills out and stuff. Like that doesn't work for me. Like I like to just like write my notes on the actual like pages of my manuscript, which is something I realized when I was like trying to do her method, that I didn't like going back and forth between like the manuscript and a notebook. I just wanted it all in one place. But it's a great thing to figure out how you want to do it. Yeah,
I think I did a vlog series a while ago, maybe like a year or two ago, that was about how I adapted hers, like her method, into something that worked for me. Let's set our next sprint for the 55. I was thinking today we could ease our way up. So we'll start with like a 10-minute sprint, and then the next one will be a 15, and then we'll like close with a big sprint. To you guys. So that one will be 10 minutes. We had a question. I cannot find it, so I can't find who asked it. But the question was basically, how do you balance NaNoWriMo and school as we're getting in these final days?
When I was in school during finals, I didn't write at all. So, I mean, utilize your time. Do not neglect your study, because that's definitely more important. But when you need a break from studying, it's a good time to write.
I became a master of figuring out what times I needed to be like actively involved in school and what times I could work on writing, which is possibly dubious advice, but I won a nano on it and I got my college degree. So yeah, figuring out like when you absolutely need to be focusing in class or studying, or when you're just sitting in the hallway, you should be doing reading, but you know you're not going to, so you might as well pull out your computer and write. All right, I'm going through. I'm very sorry if I missed your question. Please feel free to ask it again. We've got someone in the discussion section, Miranda, who's a professor who allows their students to share their nano work in lieu of certain essay assignments to encourage their work. That is amazing.
That is so cool.
Super jealous.
Yuri asked if we have write-ins throughout the year, and we do. Not as many as we have during Nano, but we do have one per month, every other month of, like every month of the year. I think we'll probably not have one in December, as we are going on hiatus on December 18th, but every other month. We had another question from TLC12011. How do you introduce a character to a massive amount of world-changing info? Breaking it up has helped, but the reveal scenes seem redundant.
It sounds like a future you problem. In all seriousness, I am like dealing with the same problem, I think, because there's a lot of backstory stuff that my character has to learn throughout the book. And yeah, I'm not really worrying about it too much right now. I'm trying to not even worry too much about like even how it's presented. It's just kind of like, these are the things that she's learning in this scene, and I'll figure that out later when I have a better handle for like the story as a whole and its pacing and everything.
Yeah. When I'm going back through and looking, that is the time that I'll look at those big chunks that feel a little redundant and see if I need to keep it, like if it actually is redundant, and if I can just cut some stuff, or if there's a way I can space it out earlier, so pull some of that information in much earlier. That way reveals can still be shocking, but then the character and the reader can go back and be like, oh, but look at all these clues that I had the whole time, because those are my favorite reveals.
Yeah.
We have a prompt for our next sprint, which is happening in 1 minute. The prompt is an accident. Someone does something by mistake that has big consequences.
Dun, dun, dun.
That sounds like my life.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that.
I actually just today like figured out like a really dumb decision that my character can make that's gonna like mess things up, and I'm very excited for it.
Oh, we've got like 30 seconds.
I was like the seconds before like it turns over is like quiet and awkward.
It's like you don't want to start saying something.
All right, it's time. Again, the prompt is an accident. Someone does something by mistake that has big consequences. Check-in will be at the 5, so 5 after the hour. Good luck. Time. How'd it go for everyone?
I got like 150 words, but I went to go make tea in the middle of it because my throat hurts. So I think that's pretty good for going to make tea in the middle of the sprint.
I got 3, so pretty good. But I did have words to look at, come up with everything by myself. People are sharing their word counts in the discussion section and doing so great. Glad you are all here.
I feel like I saw a question before we started. Now I'm never going to find it again.
One from before we started, from Tiffany. How would you recommend wrapping up a memoir? I know it goes up to where I am in life currently, but I don't want it to feel like I am jolting to a stop.
I would definitely look at some memoirs that you like and see like how they end. I'm not an expert in memoirs, so I'm not sure.
I very much like memoirs and stuff like that. I read just an insane amount of those every January for some reason. I don't know why. Always January though. Common thing I've seen is that it doesn't, like, your memoir doesn't have to be chronological, and so like your last chapter doesn't necessarily have to end like with yesterday or whatever. So I would recommend taking a look at what the theme has been and see if there's a way that you can bring in something from your present that like really applies to the theme that you're going for your memoir. And see if there's a way that you can just like hit that hard, get the feels going. We had a question from The Darkest Angel. I just got the sudden feeling my NaNoWriMo project is the worst thing. How do I feel better about it? Definitely not the worst thing, first of all.
There are worse things.
There have been many worse things.
I don't even have to read it to know that.
And also, it's definitely normal to feel that way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like every writer goes through that like point in their manuscript where it's like, this is terrible, I hate everything.
Yep.
Yeah. And to be fair, it probably is bad right now. I mean, it's a first draft. It's supposed to be bad. It's not going to be some work of art. It's there so that you can make something out of it later. And if you don't finish it, you won't have anything to make later. We believe in you. I know I saw another question.
I feel like yesterday we were super chatty, and today not as much.
Oh, man. Yesterday there were some...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Yours is more relevant.
Oh, yesterday there were lots of questions about like character death and stuff, and we just happened to have a lot to say about it.
Yeah, the thing I saw from before the last sprint was Anne's comment about one of her friends has a thing called at least one word a day. Basically, like the point is to write at least one word every day, but usually ends up writing 300 words because sometimes the hardest thing is just starting, but you really do have time to write at least one word a day.
Yes. I remember seeing that and thinking it was amazing as well. Thank you for
That's a
bringing
really
that up.
cool idea. I might try that for next year.
We had a question about sequels. Where did it go? From Headphone Books, any advice for writing sequels? Kelly has written sequels.
I say Kelly has written sequels.
It helps if you know where you're going from book one, or at least know where you want the characters to end up. Like, is the sequel going to be the end of these characters' stories, or is it one piece in a longer puzzle? Is it the middle? So sequels, there's so much variety there. Like, it can be book 2 or it can be book 12, but for the most part, figure out where your characters left off, where do you want them to grow to next, what they want, and who's out to get them.
I would say from reading plenty of sequels, the biggest issue in them is the sequel not having a strong enough like plot thread of its own, especially if there's going to be more than 2 books. And this is like somewhere in the middle of not the first book or the last book. Sometimes it can feel like the characters are just kind of like drifting around. So make sure you have like what's what's the theme of this book? What's the main plot of this book? What are the main struggles of this book, other than your character just not being sure what they should do? Because that's a lot of times that's the middle book problem.
For sure. Oh my God. Christina Lee just said in the discussion section, if your first draft is crap, that just means it will make great fertilizer. I love that so much.
It's amazing.
I need to like print that in a really pretty font and put it on my wall.
Do like a cross stitch of it.
Yes. Yes. Let's do our next sprint at the 15. Move a little quicker into it. This one's going to be a 15-minute sprint. And the prompt is going to be just listen. Your main character is trying to reveal something important, but no one will listen or take them seriously. I will put that in the discussion section once the sprint starts.
That's actually the reason that my character is about to do something stupid, is because someone won't listen to her.
Yes. My favorite reason to make
like,
characters.
I will show you since you won't let me tell you about it. And it's not smart.
Oh, we had a question from someone. I cannot remember the name for the life of me, but I remember seeing it. Oh, I think I wrote it down actually. So organized. Yes, from B. Marie. What if I hit 50K but don't finish my novel?
Then you will keep writing in December.
Too bad you can never touch it ever again.
It's done.
Yeah. Just keep going. Most novels are longer than 50K. So
Yeah.
I'm like hopeful I'll finish around 50K, but that's because I already have 20K from before November. So
yeah, I had 10K from before November. So rebellious.
Yeah.
Nano rebel over there.
Yeah. But yeah, just keep working, find whatever inspires you to write in December. I actually saw someone else ask the same question, so there you go.
Common thing.
All right, 1 minute.
What to do with 1 minute?
Think about what we're gonna write next.
It's funny how different this is from yesterday. Like, you could not stop us talking yesterday.
We kept having to like delay the sprints because we were
I was like having anxiety over it. Goes from the 15.
Just a few more seconds.
So exciting plot stuff going on in everyone's books. Yeah.
So much.
Oh my goodness. All right, so the sprint goes from the 15 to the 30. Again, the prompt is just listen. Your main character is trying to reveal something important, but no one will listen or take that seriously. time.
And
We
then number
lost-
3.
Yeah, we lost Desiree. She was sick tonight, but still joined us for part. How did the sprint go for you guys?
It was alright.
Pretty okay.
Yeah, I got 484. Huzzah, I guess.
At first, my brain was all like, wow, that's so much better than last time. We also had more time.
We also had 5 more days.
It makes you feel good about yourself when you're like increasing the time. You're like, wow, I'm writing more every time.
I'm just gonna scroll back up and see if there are any questions I missed. People are sharing their word counts, and it looks like you guys did amazing. I'm always so impressed with your word counts. All right. We had a question. Oh, where did it go? Everything is happening so fast. There it is. Do you guys have any rituals for getting motivation or beating writer's block?
Sometimes it helps to take a few minutes before I start writing to like really go over what it is I'm going to be writing. So, like, even if I have an outline in front of me, just like giving myself a few minutes to read it, kind of like know where I want to start, where I want to end up in that particular writing session, and just kind of bracing myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I used to try a lot of different things. Like I would try lighting a candle or reading Edgar Allan Poe. And I've realized over the years that none of those things actually made any difference other than made me feel like a writer. Using air quotes because those are not things that actually make you a writer. And so now I have to make myself sit down and write. And if I'm really, really struggling, I like to go to my local coffee shop because I feel like if I'm paying money to be there, that I better get work done. And that is the only thing that I've ever noticed makes an actual difference.
And sometimes with writer's block, you have to figure out like what the problem is. Like, is it that you're just not feeling motivated because you're feeling like kind of lazy, which is normal? Or is it because there's a problem with your story, because you're maybe going in the wrong direction or something like that? Or like the scene isn't working because maybe the scene doesn't need to be there, or because it needs to be a different scene. So sometimes kind of stopping to evaluate why it is you're struggling to write can be really important. Because you can like force yourself to keep pushing forward, but then you might realize that the whole problem was that the scene just didn't need to be written.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to say let's move in pretty quickly to our final sprint of the night. And then we can answer any final questions at the end. So let's start our final sprint at the 35. This one is going to be a longer one, so 20 minutes. Let's see how high we can get our word counts. So it's going to go from the 35 to the 55. And if you've asked a question, I will take note of it and we will answer it afterwards. The prompt for this one is letting go. Your character must say goodbye to someone, either literally or metaphorically.
Feels like an appropriate final.
I chose it because of that. Because I don't want to let go of all these word sprints. I love them. But I'm putting that prompt in the discussion section now, and I will post it down there one more time once the sprint has begun, which is now. Yay, so quick. So this sprint is going to go from the 35 to the 55. And again, the prompt is letting go. Your character must say goodbye to someone either literally or metaphorically. Good luck. Time. Oh, how did it go?
It looks like something super hilarious just happened.
It was one of my like picture frame things fell off my desk.
Oh, well then.
Like right as the sprint finished, it fell. It's actually a thing Megan got me. For some reason, there's a Hufflepuff one too. And the Ravenclaw one falls off all the time. I don't know what it is about. I think like something about the frame of this one, like it doesn't extend all the way. And so it just like falls off all the time.
I think the Hufflepuff one pushes it.
Probably. It's like Hufflepuff. They're that person that like everyone thinks is super nice, but like
Yeah.
secretly isn't.
Secretly knows how to destroy you.
Mm-hmm.
I got 6:53 this time, so the longest sprint of the night, but also my best.
I got like 200 and something, but I also like made a whole bunch of notes for the scene, so I'll be able to write it really quickly.
Oh, people are sharing their word counts in the discussion section, and they are so great. Great job, everyone. Congratulations to people who've reached their goals. That is amazing. We've got Beautiful Blue 19 is like 130 words away from winning Nano. which is crazy. Seriously, you guys are so inspiring. We had a few questions that we will go over before we wrap things up. We had a question from Aaliyah. What keeps you motivated to write when you know what you're writing is not the best?
The knowledge that you can't make it better until you have something to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Deep denial that I'll ever have to read it again.
That too. That's pretty much a must.
Also, just the knowledge that like all the books that you've published and like the writers that you love, like they've written terrible things too, like just as bad as what you're writing. So
that's pretty cool.
We had another question from Siobhan. How should I approach the end of NaNoWriMo? Any tips for editing my first draft? Give yourself some space is always the first thing I try to do. Whether that's a couple days for you or whether that's a week or two. I usually tend to err on the side of a week or two, where I just take a break and get some distance from my book so that I can look at it with fresh eyes. And then I sit down and in as close to one reading as possible, I read the whole thing cover to cover and just take notes on anything I notice, anytime I get bored, anything that pulls me out, anytime I suddenly remember that there was a character in the first chapter and I do not recall ever using them again. And that can help start a roadmap.
And also a lot of times going into your revisions, like when you finish the first draft, you already have ideas of things, like you know what things were like your weaknesses in the book, whether it was like the plot not making sense or like, yeah, inconsistencies with that. So having an idea of kind of what you're going to focus on and what things you want to change in your second draft. Yeah. Don't worry too much about little things, like little tiny like typos or like rewording things, like rewriting sentences that don't sound good. Like don't worry about that right now because you want to make your big like story level changes before you start looking at like scenes and then before you start looking at like sentences. So,
yeah.
Start from the big picture and then like work your way in with each level of revisions.
Yeah. And we had one last question. This seems like an appropriate one to end the chat on, but Yuri asked, what are you going to do to celebrate the end of Nano?
Sleep. That's what I do to celebrate everything.
I have so many books piled up that I need to read. Like I think I've finished like one book all month, so I'm really excited to read some books instead of writing them.
I am gonna get Taco Bell. I'm so excited. I get Taco Bell every time I finish a book, and it's gonna happen.
I'm also going on a cruise, but that's not that's happening like whether I finish Nano or not because I already paid for it. So. But I'm pretending that it's a reward.
Well, either way, you'll have finished like Nano the month.
Exactly.
Like, that's still a pretty big
deal.
Truth. People are sharing what they're going to be doing to celebrate the end of Nano in the discussion section. It looks awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really bummed that this is our last write-in of NaNoWriMo. If you're looking for more write-ins, I know there's going to be one over on the NaNoWriMo channel this week, and I know Tamara Woods is going to be doing one on Thursday, so like a last day of Nano write-in. I'm putting a link to Tamara's channel in the discussion section right now. I am very sorry. I don't remember the time right now, but Tamara is there. She will let you know. And you will see our faces on the Nano channel, though we are not doing any more write-ins. We should be on there this week, so keep an eye out for that. Am I forgetting anything?
Back next week for the Hate You Give.
Yes, next week is our book club, since we did all write-ins this week and skipped the final week book club. So we're going to talk about The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, and we would love to have you all there. Good luck with the end of Nano, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you, and you are amazing, and you can do all the things. Bye.
Bye.